Hey, what's up guys? This is Colton with Grand Valley Sporting Goods and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we are talking about the 2026 lineup for Darton Archery. So here we have the Darton Tritech 35 and we have some crazy new features with this lineup. So it's not very often to where a company completely changes everything. Typically there's a tweak here and there. There are definitely some similarities from the SEQUAL, but they've changed it up quite a bit. So new cam system, new axle system, limbs. We have a slightly changed timing system here. We have a new, which is kind of cool, a adjustable roller guard for left and right tuning, which is pretty neat. We also still have the limb system for tuning as well. Updated grip, they added basically a little rubber inlay on the back. Really not too tacky, but it's better than against just a regular riser in my opinion, because my hand tends to kind of slip up a little bit and I like to avoid choking the grip. Let's see, so they added a new pick mount system. I think last year they definitely came out with a pick mount adapter that you can mount in the traditional holes that are drilled and tapped for a sight that turns it into a pick mount, but now it's added to the riser. So they really just kind of probably added that last minute last year, but now it's actually essentially part of the bow. You also have the integrate mount that's on the back for your rest. And they have a two-piece integrated quiver system as well. So a lot of cool features on this bow. So getting into the specs here. Sorry, I'm gonna look it up on my phone because they are a little bit more complex. One thing I give Darton is honesty on what you're getting with your speed versus what mod you're using. So other companies will use a lower let-off percentage, like a speed mod, and then that's what their IBO is, but they give you a better idea on the actual equipment that you're using in your cams on what the speed that you're gonna get. So what they call the speed mods are just the standard mods that come with the bow. So your 331 to 332 feet per second. With the faster mod system, your 334 to 335 feet per second. They do offer 75% mods that are 335 to 336 feet per second. Those are sold separately. You do get the faster mod system when you purchase the bow. Axle to axle length is 35 1/8. Brace height is 6 3/8. So pretty good specs there in my opinion. I forgot to mention one of the big ones that they changed. They did shave some weight off this guy. So they basically took out more cuts in the riser. It's very similar to, profile wise to the SEQUAL, but they did take more cuts out of it. So they did shave a little weight off. So the mass weight is 4.75 pounds, and that's without your little dampener up front, without the biscuit, which is still a little on the heavy side, but we're kind of right there with everybody else. Definitely better than last year in my opinion. Draw length range of 26 to 31.5 inches. And also what I forgot to mention as well is you do have 1/4 inch draw length adjustments. So for the tinkerers at home, this is definitely a bow I would look at. You can really fine tune your draw length, which can change bow to bow, but you get a lot of pressless tuning features. Really, it's kind of the tinkerer's dream in my opinion. If you haven't looked at Darton in a while, in my opinion, last year with the SEQUAL, that was kind of their big breakout. Many of you know the consequence with their midline bow, but we were really impressed last year if you remember our review. And these things shoot like an absolute dream, and you've probably seen that on other YouTube channels as well. But the draw cycle on these, now typically I'll tell people that draw cycle is kind of relative, and if there's a list of things I look at when I'm considering a bow, draw cycle is kind of at the bottom because frankly, you're going to get used to a draw cycle. You're going to develop a muscle memory. Now, if it loads up really stiff and dumps hard, you're probably not going to get used to that, but subtle differences after shooting that bow for a while, you're going to get used to it. But with this, the draw cycle is absolutely phenomenal, even at different draw lengths, because granted that cam has a different curvature to it. So, you know, somebody shooting it at 28 inches versus somebody shooting it at, say, 30 are going to have two different experiences. Honestly, at, you know, a bunch of different lengths, it all feels the same to me, which I don't know how they do it, because this isn't a perfectly round cam system, but they did. It just loads up really smooth and gradually and just kisses into the back wall, has a really good stiff back wall. Maybe a touch more vibration in my opinion than the SEQUAL, but honestly, when this thing is completely set up, it's going to completely dampen it, and it's honestly going to be a really good shooting bow. Grip profile here, which I really like on the Darton. I like a thin grip because it just makes for a more consistent grip system. They kept that the same, but just added a little bit of texture. And typically with my bows, I'm either wrapping hockey tape around it, or I have just a kind of sandpaper texture on the back to just give me a little grip that I rough up a little bit so it's not super tacky. And another thing as well, I'm pretty sure that they're going to come out with different grip inlays for different angles as well, which is kind of nice. But yeah, other than that, that's the Tritech 35, and here is the Tritech 33. So again, same features as everything else. We'll just run through the specs here real quick. So actual standard mods that it comes with, you're looking at 334 to 335 feet per second. With the speed mods, you're 339 to 341 feet per second. And then with the 75% mods, you're 341 to 343 feet per second. Axle length is 33 and 3/16. Brace height is 6 and 3/8 inches. Mass weight of 4.6 pounds. Your draw length range is from 25 to 31 inches. Your draw weights come in 50, 60, 70, and 80 pound limb options. Let off percentage from 83, which would be the standard, so basically call it 85, down to 75 with the draw stop post that it comes with as well, which is kind of nice because typically if it's not an adjustable let off mod itself that comes on the bow, you're purchasing that separate. And also 100% made in the US, in Michigan, mind you. So being a Michigan bow shop, we definitely partake to the Michigan bow companies for sure. And Darton is a great company. Again, if you haven't looked at Darton, especially in the last couple of years when they've really made a up-and-coming swing, maybe you've had a bow for the past handful of years and you really haven't been looking until this year, Darton, honestly, it's incredible the comeback that they've made. So the guy that purchased Darton back in 2020 owns Black Eagle and Conquest Arrows, and they're really trying to make Darton a name for themselves again. If you've been shooting for a long time, Darton was a really big company back in like the late 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. They hold about 90% of the archery patents out there. I could be wrong on that number, but it's quite a lot. So really a lot of the innovative features on really any bow, even the bow that you're shooting nowadays, you really have Darton to thank for that. We're talking, you know, back when your cam and a half systems were popular, but also the dual cams, if I'm not mistaken, parallel limbs, your split yoke systems, really just quite a bit of features in the bows nowadays. You really have Darton to thank for that. So again, this is the Tritech 33, and let's move on to the next bow. All right, here is the Tritech 31. So in my opinion, 31 to 33 is a really good average length for a hunting bow for really the average hunter. Even guys with longer draw lengths, say 30 for example, granted these are gonna have their peak lengths, but for what we get in our shop, and I know it's different around the country, but you know, we're mainly whitetail hunters around here. A lot of people are looking for the really short axle bows, 27, 28, 29 inches, and that's perfectly fine. I get it, but frankly, whatever you can do with those bows, you can do with a 31 and a 33 inch. 35 is getting a little bit long for a lot of people. I would still personally hunt with it, partially because I like longer axle bows. But if you're, you know, looking around for a new bow and you're looking for, say, that 29 and 30 number, and you're not going to go outside of that, 31 really isn't that much of a difference outside of that, and you're going to gain a little bit more forgiveness as well. And if you're looking to, say, you know, get tucked up into trees or ground blinds or anything like that, your difference in, say, 29 to 31 being 2 inches, you're not an extra 2 inches up top, you're only an inch on each side, which really isn't a big deal for most people. Granted, go to your local shop, test them out, buy whatever you want, by all means. I'm not here to sway your opinion. I'm just here to, you know, maybe make you think about things that you haven't thought of before, and just the common things that we see at the shop. But yeah, by all means, don't let me sway your opinion. Just, you know, something to consider in the future. But again, with the Tritech 31, again, all the same features that the other bows come with, and price point wise, typically your long and short axle bows, they're going to be a different price point. All of these bows are $13.49, whether you go with the 31 all the way up to the 35, which is great because, frankly, you know, it's more material in, say, the 35, so the fact that they're putting all these at the same price point is a good thing. So running through the specs on this, so the standard mods that it comes with, you're looking at 334 to 335 feet per second. With the speed mods, you're 339 to 341. And then with the 75% mods, you're 341 to 343 feet per second. Axle to axle length is 31 and 3/16. Brace height, 6 and 3/8. So frankly, right there with everybody else. Mass weight of 4.5 pounds. Draw length range from 25 to 30.5 inches. Limb weight options, you have 50, 60, 70, and 80 pounds as well. Let off options from 83 to 75, which is frankly either or. With the speed mods, it probably is a little bit less percent let off, so you're probably around maybe that, you know, 78, 80% range. 100% made in the US and a lifetime warranty as well, and a Michigan company, mind you. So if you're a Michigander like myself, we are in West Michigan in Allendale, Grand Valley Sporting Goods. If you haven't given us a try before and you're in the area, come give us a look. Other than that, support your local Darton dealer if you want to try these out, which I highly encourage doing it. But anyways, we're going to do the speed tests on these. So this one's going to be a little different. We're not going to be able to test all these bows here because this Tritech 31 is a 60 pounder, which realistically we could test if we did 5 grains per inch, but I want to make things as open and honest as possible and try to make things as even as possible. So we're only going to test 70 pounders in the speed test. So we're going to have to wait till we get a 31 inch and the 70 pounds to be able to add that to the test. So we're going to try the 35 and the 33. Here's the speed test. All right, so we're going to start the speed test. Again, we're going to start them at 30 inches. Didn't mention in the PSE video, but just like last year, we're shooting a Sonic 6.0 and a 340 spine. This will equal out to exactly 350 grains. So we're going to start out with the Tritech 33, and then we're going to go to the 35. And unfortunately, we can't do the 31 because we were given a 60 pounder. And to make things even, we don't want to use a 60 pounder, even though we can do 5 grains per inch And, you know, that'll equal out the same, but just to keep everything apples to apples comparison. So, without further ado, here is the 33. $325. Remember the IBO on this, Drew?
334, 335, I think is what they say.
Okay, so not too bad. Actually, I can add this part out, but saying, yeah, 334, 335. So 325, not bad.
We're within 10.
We're within 10. All right, shot number 2. Another 325. So within 10 feet of IBO, not too terrible. All right, 35. These things are just so buttery smooth. 323. Another 323. Consistency from Darton. All right, Drew and I will set these up to 29 and we'll go again. All right, so we changed these to 29 inches. Starting off with the Tritech 33. See how it does. $314. So we'll fall off of 11. $313. All right, now for the Tritech 35. $313. So a loss of 10. Another 313. All right, we'll set these up to 28. All right, we got these to 28 inches. Again, we're gonna start with the Tritech 33. Ooh, that scared me. 305.
Just a little. mod screw settling in.
Don't know if you heard it on the mic, but the, the mod screw kind of settled in a little bit. .304. All right, now for the 35. .301. .301. All right, so that concludes the speed test for Darton. We just had the 33 and the 35. Last year we had the 31 and 33, but if my memory serves me, the 33 was just a little bit faster. Hopefully we're gonna get a 31 here pretty soon so we can add it to the speed test. But comparative to PSE's run pretty fast this year. PSE is kind of known for that. But I think comparative to the other models in similar specs, they're gonna be right in there. And granted, I forgot to mention too, these are with the standard mods at 85% load off, which we just wanna do this test to what the majority of consumers are gonna run, just so you can kind of compare and contrast most likely what your setup's gonna be. Obviously, if you drop let off, you go to the speed mod, you're gonna get a little bit higher speed. But if you wanna see that in future videos, just let us know. We're just trying to do this to keep it as simple as possible to what the average consumer is gonna use. So as always, appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe and like button and hit that notification bell so you can keep updated on the rest of our 2026 speed tests and reviews. Other than that, guys, always appreciate you guys watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.